Hello, MAGFest. How are you doing? Are you tired? I'm like freaking tired right now. All right. I'm Outlaw Josiah Tillett. I am one of the division heads of staff services here. I run all the volunteering related tasks. On my left is Mark Mernan. He is one of our department heads of technical operations. And on my right is Colette Fozard, our hotels liaison, and then Scribbles. I don't know what Scribbles does for us other than like major evangelism stuff. No, it's off.
I do major stuff, and I got invited to the Kennedy Center to go talk more about MAGFest tomorrow. So that's what I do. I promote MAGFest, and even the day after MAGFest. And this is my friend who just decided to sit here, like I did one year. When 3-4 years ago I heard a speech saying, the only difference between you out there and the people sitting up here is that we just decided to sit down here. Now, that being said, Colette has done way more than just sit beside this table. But like, this is how I got my start, and many of us got our start. We're just like, we want to do this, let's go. And that's what Claire's doing here. She's just...
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So
Can we talk numbers?
Yeah, let's talk numbers. So how many of you guys want to just throw out a number between 1 and 100 for the percentage of growth we had this year? Bad sales. Throw out a number between 1 and 10. Someone said 9. It's 9%.
Yep. At this moment, we have 23,472 attendees checked in. This is, by 9%, the largest MAGFest ever. No, just there.
And I think by actual hotel rooms across the entire MAGFest block, this is the first year that we didn't blow through all of our rooms on opening day. Sadly, yes, we still do run out of all the Gaylord rooms on opening day, but not all of them across the block.
If you've ever been to a closing ceremonies panel before, you realize that like the people who are up here are not like the big wigs. Like there's not many BOD members or anyone else, and that's because they're tired too. So we're just gonna kind of do this a little freeform. In the MAGFest style, we're gonna talk about some cool stuff that we saw. We're gonna give you guys an opportunity later on to give us some feedback, just comments on things that you think we could do better. Maybe some questions you might have about like, why did that thing happen? Why was there a fire alarm on Friday night? Like, we might not answer all of them, but you're welcome to ask. There was a cleaning crew in a lounge, and they caused a fire alarm.
I can answer that.
Go for it.
What floor did you stay on? Oh, okay. There were 2 fire alarms Friday night. One was due to some idiot smoking on the 14th floor. And then in that situation, the alarm properly sounded on the 14th floor, 15, and the one below. I can't remember if it's 12 or 13. And then at 5:30 Saturday morning, that was where an overload of steam in a room accidentally triggered by the cleaning crew up in pose, and that very, very regrettably, and I can say that the Gaylord is very sorry about this, that triggered that, and they realized it should not have done so, but that did trigger the alarm for the entire building. All hotel rooms signaled because I was on 5. And I've never shot across my bed so fast to get to the phone and figure out what was going on. But they are very sorry about that. So
back to the fun stuff. Questions are also fun, but we're going to put that for later. How many of you guys went out to see the new Riverview Ballroom? New to us this year with Tabletop. All right? Give me a woo if you... give me a woo if you liked it. All
Good.
Good. Same audio. We just picked that up this year. We restructured it a bunch of layouts this year, and we worked really hard to try to figure out where everything should go and what would fit best. So, and because the Riverview is a very unique space, we decided tabletop would be the best thing to go out there because we noticed that a lot of people up in the National Harbor rooms last year were really cramped and really smelly, and we need a big open space so that you can like be smelly, free range, and then like walk back to your hotel room, take a shower, and like actually go to sleep. Did you guys like that this year? Okay. Did you like having things more spread out this year? So we're utilizing the whole hotel, like by putting GM space over the Eastern Shore. Awesome. Yeah. How did you guys like concerts this year? We moved Rock Island into the Potomac Ballroom so that we could put you guys closer to the band merch. We were hoping that worked well. I know we got lots of good feedback from our Rock Island staffers. What did you think about Rock Island moving? Right.
Also freed up the space for the tables, so we had the portable area back.
Yeah,
So you
I
can
love
sit
the
down.
tables there. I missed them for many years.
What else did we move? Did we have anything new this year?
Nothing strikes me for layouts.
No.
We had memes.
We did have plenty of memes. This was the first year that we had a big printer on site. So how many of you guys saw the Yes poster?
Yes.
All right. That's just an inside joke that got blown out of proportion.
Quite literally.
Literally. The picture got blown out of proportion quite literally.
The
too.
pixels. I could see the pixels.
It was printed from a picture that's this big. On the shittiest paper.
This was one of the smoothest MAGFests we've had in terms of, I think, number of incidents, number of problems. If any of you guys went to the True Stories of the MAGFest panel last night, we went over some incident reports and some statistics from previous MAGFests. We've been noticing that certain statistics have been going up, but certain statistics have been going down. Number of complaints about harassment and people respecting each other. We've had less harassment, more people respecting each other. So I just want to congratulate you guys for doing an awesome job at making MAGFest such a great place for everyone. We had our brand new accessibility department that started up this year for people who might not be able to be as mobile or might need some special assistance with sign language or interpretation. You could have found them down at the Reg desk. If you didn't know about that this year, remember that for next year. Oh. It's over by registration.
We sort of put it there because it's that everybody has to walk past it.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's there then.
Yep.
But good feedback, thank you.
Anybody go by the Mega Manathon stage?
Yes.
We've been thinking about how to get you guys more music year after year, and one of the biggest things we can't do is just add more bands to the Potomac. So what we're trying to do is build up more stages spread out and have more shows. Do you like that? All right. I really, really, really like doing the Belvedere lobby shows. It's just awesome to walk out on the balcony of a hotel room and just hear the Triforce Quartet or Super Soul Brothers, just everywhere you go. Yeah, thank you. It's the name of the game. Music and gaming.
Yes.
All right.
Should we dive into feedback?
I don't know. I kind of want to be more feel-goody before people start complaining at us.
Mages was awesome.
Let's go over some actual departments and give some people some kudos. Our volunteers this year who did a bang-up job doing both load-in and load-out. Just so you all know, we were on the tail end of the Gaylord's Big Night Out, which is an event that happens over New Year's Eve. And the turnover for that event is really, really tight. We had 48 hours to transform this hotel from New Year's banger party to MAGFest. And our volunteers busted ass to make that happen. So if you see anyone wearing a red staff shirt or having a staff badge, make sure that you thank them for doing what they do.
And let me and please be very enthusiastic in your thanks, because depending on if they bring in the big night next year, then it's going to be a 24-hour turnover next year. And I don't know if any of you guys have gotten in here or gone to that big night out thing, but holy smokes, there's nothing better for MAGFest to come in after, because that place is just like, they use a leaf blower to clean off the dance floor. It's spectacular.
So you're saying more people should pay the Gaylord money to do a day -3 party?
I'm not saying a thing like that. Proposals accepted.
We've done the math. 24-hour turnover is not possible. So
Never tell me the odds.
So volunteer next year. We'll give you plenty of hours for load-in, because we just need to throw as many people as possible at this problem.
I don't know that there will be plenty of hours for load-in.
24.
Well,
That's as much as you need to get your badge refunded. All you have to do is just never sleep.
Please sleep.
You're already doing that anyway,
Please.
guys. Come on.
Have some sleep, like 2-3 hours minimum, please.
Yeah. All right. I think unless anyone else has anything else pressing they want to talk about, we can roll into feedback. And I want to say feedback and shout-outs. All right? So I don't want complaints. I want complaints and fun stuff. All right? We're going to have people around to the microphone and talk. So we're going to make a line right here. You can come kneel down at our feet and worship.
All right. Yes. Because can we get somebody? Cadence, can you run the mic for folks?
Mark's running it out.
I've been coming here for several years. In the past, they had a games on film thing. I'm just wondering, is that permanently gone, or are they going to come back? Or I'm just wondering what the future of that is, or that kind of thing.
Our leadership for Games on Film was unable to do it this event. Same thing happened with the escape room, if you noticed that wasn't here this year. There are plans to try to bring it back in some form, but it's mostly just a manpower thing. So if you're interested in maybe trying to help out and make both escape room or Games on Film a thing, please contact us, staffing ops or stops@magfest.org.
Hi, I just actually have 2 compliments for you. One was the pronoun stickers that you guys gave out for free with the badges. That meant a lot to a lot of people, so thank you for that. And having the gender-neutral bathrooms available, that was a big deal. I go to a lot of conventions, and not all of them do that for their attendees, so thank you so much.
Two things. One, this flashlight came in incredibly good use in the concert hall as I was in a darker section, and when I left, I noticed I'd accidentally left this behind, and since it's black, it's pretty hard to spot, so I managed to find it with this flashlight. And so thank you for that. And 2, last year I mentioned the convention Convergence and how you might want to talk to them about room issues and whatnot, and I just wanted to let you know their last convention, they had a huge housing problem, so they kind of blew up, whereas you guys went perfectly ironed through this year, I thought. So basically you did a complete 180 relative to one another. You guys did a very good job with the hotel rooms, and Convergence had problems. So you basically flipped 180. So yeah, good job on the hotels.
Thank you very much. I as a quick note, we put a lot of time and effort into really getting it right this year, so thank you very much for saying that. We really worked at that.
And on the note of swagges, all right, you guys liked your swagges this year? All right. That guy right there in the back, Mr. Adam Feinstein, was one of the guys on our swag team who spent countless hours designing, programming, figuring out how it was going to work, ripping his fingers apart, opening up the little anti-static bags, and then gluing the pieces of acrylic to the PCB. Like, people put in a ton of effort on this, so make sure you give him a shout out. this way.
So I know you mentioned about incorporating more music into the MAGFest. This was my first MAGFest, and it was amazing. The music I felt was really incorporated with the video games. One of the things that I really did like about at this convention was also a lot of the dancing panels. Like, for example, the panel for Latin Dancing for Nerds was amazing. I don't know if any of you guys are the ones that decide like what panels end up going into MAGFest, but definitely any other panels that incorporate dancing as well are very well appreciated, because it was really fun to have like dancing lessons here and how to incorporate it into a lot of the beats and the musics that we hear in video games as well.
Thank you. If you have for that kind of feedback, nobody from up here is on the panels team except for Scribbles, who handles like the educational panels. Send that feedback to panels@magfest.org. All right, I'm sure they would love to hear that.
Oh, thank you.
I just want to echo support for bringing back games on film if possible. I know, again, it's a stops issue and staffing, but it's a great thing. Regardless, everyone who did a great job bringing MAGFest together. Thank you.
Shoutouts to the Mag Laughs team. It was super funny. It went to both nights. It was great. Feedback, there was a lot less descriptions for concerts in the guidebook this year, which made it kind of hard to tell which was which or which you're more interested in without Googling it, and the signal was pretty spotty here. And also the parking thing kind of broke. I come in and out each day, and the weekend pass barcode just did not work all weekend, so every single time I wanted to escape, I had to call customer service. And that got a little dicey. Last year I had issues as well trying to just get out as a commuter, so that's all for me. Thank you.
So I have a recommendation for the laser tag area. I feel like the layout of the room should be the same on both sides, so that one team doesn't have an advantage over the other with, how everything is laid out. Because I feel like the blue team was more, had a more of advantage on their side. They had more cover, more areas that they can hide and shoot at the red team. So be a great thing for next year if you still have it. And also, I love the volunteer system in here. So many departments, so many perks. It's wonderful. I haven't seen anything better at the other conventions. But yeah, thank you so much.
Can I interrupt for a second? Because I keep hearing the same thing. So, we're half serious with this, mostly serious. But in my time doing promo, we're not a convention. Conventions are pop-up malls with content around the mall. We are the after party of a convention the whole time. So that's why we call ourselves a fest. And yeah, you can, if you really want to get to it, maybe we sort of are, no, I'm not going to go there. But we're a fest.
We do have a planning convention for the festival. It's called MagCon, and you'd much rather go to MagFest.
I wanted to give you all kudos on your designs this year. I brought a lot of MAGFest merch this year, a lot because of the art design that you did. So I just wanted to say kudos on that. But having said that, could you all bring back polo shirts? You have like 7 or 8 hoodies, and I know hoodies are what all the kids are doing these days with the Nintendo, but I know I'm old. But this is my favorite shirt, this MAGFest polo that I got years ago, and I would love to buy more polos from you all. So if you ever have a chance to bring back that with merch, bring back the polos. But thank you for everything you do.
So in response to the merch, we brought on board a new staff member, full-time paid staff for MAGFest this year, Dak. He has been knocking merch out of the park. So kudos to him for that. And I'll pass on your feedback about the polo.
Oh, I have a quick thing to add to feedback. Yeah, that guy.
What's up?
Yeah, you just got polos.
How do you respond to this claim that there's not enough polos at MagFest?
That there's not enough polos at MAGFest?
Polos are
I
awesome.
think we were selling polos and they didn't sell out. So really, it's your fault, right? You should be buying polos and distributing them. But let's give a hand to the polo guy right here anyway. Woo! Are we fielding like a Q&A kind of thing here? Oh, cool. Well, I'm gonna hand the mic back.
Feedback about merch as well. A lot of people didn't realize you could buy the badges. They thought it was just a supporter item. I ran into the swagges. Sorry.
I'm taking notes.
Go ahead. Great. Yeah. Two things. So I lost my badge during the convention, and the system you had, like all the members staff I talked to, getting my badge back. I didn't mind paying like an $80 deposit, until I had like, with the second badge and then returning it, so like both badges, so I can get a refund back. And that was very helpful. It could have been much more stressful for me if that problem was that. I really liked that system. That was much of as of ease. Very painless, as long as I had the funds to do so. So I think that was pretty good. On top of that, I'd really thank you for having the Civic Gunner group over here as their panel convention. The whole community there has been it's been really enjoyable to have people from all over in that small community finally get to have like a place to meet each other. And I would like you to continue to have them here because it is really important. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I have two things, one more important than the other. So accessibility-wise, we had someone in our party who had a leg injury this year and was very interested in the tabletop stuff beforehand. I understand there's only so much you can do about space considerations and everything, but since the tabletop was outside across the way and specifically most easily accessible through a cobblestone walkway in the atrium that is not friendly on wheels, the idea crossed my mind, and I just wanted to pitch it, do it or don't, that maybe the outside building could be utilized more for activities that tend to be more participated in by people who don't need mobility aids, the physical activities like laser tag and such. So there's that, and I know that there's so much that goes into planning that's no guarantee. The second thing was that I like to hang out in the indie games section. That's probably my favorite part of MAGFest now, and a lot of the indie game developers were throwing tournaments for their little indie games to promote their stuff, and only the indie arcade stuff was in Guidebook. I don't know if that's something that could be improved on in the future, but seeing Guidebook entries for more of the independent game tournaments would be really cool. Thank you.
Are there any folks who have feedback or shout-outs but didn't come and line up here? I can bring the mic out.
Real quick, while we're waiting, I just want to make a super fast announcement. We don't have an exact total yet, but I know that the auction broke $21,000, which we've never even come close to before, which is ridiculous. And then Mega Manathon broke $10K, so charity this year is looking like it's going to be $31,000+ for Child's Play. Seriously, I love you guys. Thank you.
So I was going to say, the signage is really, really good, as it has been in previous years. I feel like it's just getting better. The maps being everywhere is cool, and whoever added the little like "You Are Here" stickers to the maps, so you don't have to figure out like, okay, where am I right now? Like there was a little sticker where each map was located. Also, the jokes on the signs are very good, but the intro to the Moon theme from DuckTales is in 15:16, not 15:8. Yeah, it's not 15:8. It's 15:16. There's one. It's like a full 4/4 measure with a 16th note taken out. Yeah.
Honestly, that is the most critical feedback we've gotten all MAGFest.
Yeah,
Thank you. That's going to be taken care of MAGFest 2020. I promise.
We'll just change it so it says 7.5 and 8.
If it's okay with you, I'm just going to take notes on that, saying Nick mucked up the DuckTales joke.
Double checking, were there any folks who couldn't make it up to this line? Okay, moving on.
It might already been said officially, but you talked about next year you're going to have to compete with 24 hours for the New Year's Eve. So is next year confirmed now to start on the 2nd?
Given
Actually, I can't answer that. Why? Because I know that we have locked down our entire hotel block for 2020 next year. Yes! We got to them before you did. And so, oh God, let me hear. Everybody give me a big drum roll while. Ah, my God, I can't read now. Hang on. Bad call. Next year's MAGFest dates are January 2nd to 5th, 2020.
Perfect.
Hi, I'd just like to speak about some sort of confusing signage and labeling in a lot of cases. Sometimes they would use the names of the rooms as in the convention center, like, for example, the Baltimore room or something outside, and then in the schedule there's like the name of the panel by MAGFest naming, and then there's no real way to easily translate between the two. This made a lot of things hard to find. And then especially the tabletop games where they were even outside the convention center building technically, it took me an hour to find those.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for that feedback because that's good for us to remember.
So I know it's not really something that you can control, but I mean, it might be something that as a con, you can throw your weight to the developers for guidebook. It's painful to use. I know there's a while where like at 10 o'clock at night, I'm scrolling through, finally get to 10 p.m., it refreshes. Scroll through, all right, so I go back again, refreshes. And I see the update and it says, what? Yeah, but still, I think, yeah, it refreshes and resets everything. I think it was like 5 or 6 times because it couldn't refresh or it couldn't get the update. So, I mean, maybe you could throw your weight to the devs and maybe have them change how they handle refreshing or how they handle the grab for it. But just food for thought. Thank you.
This is a really small note, but I noticed a lot of the maps were like really low resolution, so it was like almost impossible to kind of read the text in some of the maps. I think it was mainly the ones that you had on the computer screens around the convention, but besides that, I loved MAGFest. It was good this year.
So those screens, we're working on upgrading those from being 1080p to 4K. So hopefully next year that'll be resolved.
Hi guys. So my feedback was mainly around the tournaments. Last year I did a LAN tournament, and this year we participated in a league one that was going on. And the hardest part when it came to the tournaments was figuring out when and how you could sign up prior. I know there were some issues with the website prior, and I think maybe posting that stuff on the Facebook page like a couple weeks in advance and having a cutoff point, because some of the tournaments had like a start time that ended up getting pushed back like an hour or 2 hours because they were trying to scramble to get everything organized, and people didn't know how to sign up, when to sign up, and teams were coming in last second, and it kind of got a little chaotic. No, the LAN room tournaments, like Overwatch and League and stuff like that, sorry. That's what I wanted. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you stay here for a moment, or someone else from, can I get some LAN feedback from people? How was the sponsor we had and the stage on the side? I see thumbs up over there. Anyone else have any other feedback other than thumbs up? Right.
Oh yeah, the computers were way better this year.
Yeah, those people. Yeah, those people also set up our stage on the side. So cool. I spent like all of 5 minutes in LAN. Did you have something else to say over here?
So.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
In general,
I needed that for my crazy promotional business development stuff. Okay. Thanks. Sure.
So in general, MAGFest does not accept sponsorships. If we're going to do something like this, it has to be just an insanely good deal for us.
That was our like first corporate sponsor, like probably, possibly ever. Very close to.
and you won't see their logo or anything. Yeah. This is the first time that we've actually had a logo in front of attendees, and in order to get that across, they had to give us an insanely awesome LAN room, basically.
Yeah.
Millions of dollars of equipment that. Okay, that's good to know.
Cool.
All right, so this
that doesn't
year
necessarily mean that you'll see more of it, but sorry.
All right, so this year MAGFest was actually pretty good for me and my group, but we only noticed like 2 big, I guess like honestly, like natural ones. The YouTube poop panel was in a really small room, and it got super packed, surprisingly, for a panel that happened at 2 a.m. And I think we spent probably like an hour, maybe a little bit more, trying to get Big Beat Mario to play on the projector setup that we had, but the audio was just too screwed. Probably like a dead cable in there somewhere. Do you guys know anything that happened about that, or was it just?
Do you know which room that's in?
I think
It was like
5.
upstairs, right? In panel 5?
Yeah, panels 5, I think.
I fixed that.
You did?
The DI was busted, and we spent like an hour trying to figure it out. I mean, you were there.
Yeah, I mean, I left before it got working.
We
It
ended
was a long time.
ended up running out of HDMI and putting a microphone in front of the projector that was playing it.
Oh man.
It was not good. We fixed it the next morning. It was just a matter of like
that's pretty
of
jank.
like make it work now.
Yeah. The other thing that majorly went wrong is that our group was actually a part of a Rainbow Six tournament, and I think the big highlight for that tournament was we all got 5 computers and managed to hold that for 5 hours until we got 3rd place without firing a single shot because I think the tournament just kind of fell apart. Like it wasn't very well organized. Like it was like an in thing. Like I was talking to organizers in the LAN room, and it was just like no one really knew who was like in charge of it, and it was pretty hard. So hopefully next year that gets a little bit better because it's a good game, and it's good to see tournaments and stuff. Thanks, guys.
I really like this rainbow with 6 sides.
All right, thanks.
I can speak a little bit to the panels issues. Panels, AV needs fall under Tech Ops. And basically, we only have the volunteer staff to fully staff panels 1 through 3 during the event. So when you get to panels 4 and 5, it's just a runner who's walking around and visits them occasionally. So if you volunteer to help with panels, then we can hopefully alleviate a lot more of the AV issues.
Hi, I just have one more to add. You said that you secured the room block for next year, so that means everyone in this room can book the Gaylord for next year right now? Hey, I tried for you, okay?
I appreciate the effort, but we're not going to be able to do that. It just means that we've gone out and held as many rooms as the surrounding hotels will give us, which is I mean, it's the entire Gaylord. I mean, they turn away, Marriott Platinums if they're not with our group because, they know that MAGFest attendees want the rooms, and we're a bit of a interesting mix for a lot of people to just kind of walk into. So.
Speaking of tech ops, I want to give really big kudos to Tom Dean for making the VR track possible. There were a lot of loose links in that chain, and he made sure that everything worked smoothly. So, I do have a comment about the guidebook, too. For those of us with bad eyes, it's really hard to read that light gray font on a white background, especially at night.
Thank you. I'll pass that on to him.
I had a quick comment about guidebook. Some of the events they were missing descriptions, like the auction that was here right before. I mean, this is my first MAGFest, so I did not know what that was all about. Seems exciting. And then some of the guests aren't filled in for the panelists aren't filled in for each of the events. And it would be helpful to have. Thank you.
What's up, y'all? I wanted to say the sound quality in the concert hall has kept getting better and better and better every single year that I've come here, especially with the single stage versus the dual stage setup. I was wondering if you guys have ever thought about having any synthwave artists like Carpenter Brett and Perturbator and those guys. Because, for real, I would say there's a small following of us, but we would love to see some of those guys here as well as with the nerdcore artists and the Proto Men and everybody else who comes here on a frequent basis.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think I have Carpenter Brett's whole trilogy album queued up on my phone right now. That feedback, artist requests, guest requests, any kind of thing you want to see at MAGFest, let us know about. We'll pass that along. You can also send an email to music@magfest.org and just say like, hey, this is a list of cool artists I think we should have at MAGFest. Just make sure that, or just be aware that they've got to somehow fit the spectrum of music and gaming. Even if that's like, I'm a band about like farming in the woods, but I use a Game Boy. Like,
So first time MAGFest, first time volunteer, and I really loved the extra tags to identify things. But I did discover while I was doing Expo badge checks with one of the partners, they were colorblind. It made it very hard for them to tell what badge was coming at them and what that tag was without having to get the guest to come real up close when we were looking to see if it was one of the shopkeepers or somebody else that had limited access to that door and whether or not they were. So I appreciate the color, but maybe keep in mind high visibility, extra tags for our colorblind.
yeah, thank you for that comment. We actually did get some feedback from our security team about making the badges more visually distinct. We'll pass along that we might need to do a little bit more color-wise. As far as the tags go, we're really excited to add more, but you know who hates having a lot of tags on badges? Our security team, because it's really hard to identify them at a glance. So we're working on making that process easier for people both on the door and the people who are sticking the ribbons to badges.
Can I jump in with a question? Yeah. I realize, I mean, we did get one person coming up with feedback, but I figure everybody in here generally probably went through this process. Can you please raise your hand if you feel that the hotel booking process went a lot smoother this year? Yay. While we can't accommodate all feedback, please, you can post on Facebook, you can email, either info@MAGFest or hotel@MAGFest, and, let us know if there's a particular aspect of it besides, I always want to remember the Gaylord, that you would like to see us do. Because we really, we went, after going through the process last year, really figuring out, we think this will work. Oh, wait, no, the attendees missed that part, things like that, that we really wanted to make sure that the process went smoother. So I'm certainly very happy to hear that a lot more people were happier with the process this year. So thank you for letting me know that. Hi.
I'm glad you're happy that I'm last in line, I guess. So for your guidebook, I noticed you have a map for the food in National Harbor, as well as a map for the special deals from within the Gaylord, but not for the special deals within National Harbor, which I've noticed when I was walking by, and they had something that says show your badge, and you'll get something special, bonus, or buy one.
I apologize for interrupting. Did you ever go to the flyers section of guidebook?
I tried, and that didn't load very well.
Okay, because it was there, so that's why I'm trying to figure out, because if we need to find a better place to put it, we can.
I also noticed that for your South Point parking, where I think it was on your MAGFest website, where it shows a map of how to walk to it. It goes through, I guess, the riverside end of it to get to there. But I believe it is maybe the Gaylord or security outside of Gaylord actually closes the gate after a certain time because that area is designated as no overnight parking. So the only way to access it is to go around the gate onto the rocks or to go through the parking garage of the Gaylord. I don't know this wasn't noted, but that's what they do.
Okay. I may get with you afterwards because I think I want to probably try to figure out a little more on that feedback. But
Which leads to the next thing on that, and that when I arrived at South Point, they stated that because of no overnight parking, you have to print out your tickets and place them on your car's dash, or you will be ticketed that night. So I had to rush all the way up to the Gaylord from that distance, go to the FedEx Kinko's, print them out, then run all the way back there, and then run back here again. I don't know if this was noted, but they should have told that. I understand why, because that area is used predominantly for their Air Force One experience, and because of that, They don't want it to be used for overnight parking. But because it was mixed, they obviously understood that it was for MAGFest and let them in, but that last bit of leaving an actual parking ticket on your car was left out.
Do we have anything else? Thank you.
for arranging such nice weather.
Absolutely.
So
Was that
the
it?
biggest concern for us weather-wise was that any cold weather was going to murder tabletop. So we are extremely grateful that tabletop is alive and well now, because next year you guys are used to going out there. So when it's like frigid, you'll be like accustomed to it already.
You'll be running across that courtyard saying, "It's worth it."
Oh, unless it was dark outside. There were? I did not know that.
Thank you. I will be honest, because we've been seeing some feedback. Thank you for being probably about the only person who thought those LEDs were sufficient. So, because it's what? No. I'm glad. I'm like, yay, somebody liked them, but we're probably going to work with the hotel to put better lighting in that walkway next year.
I didn't think they were sufficient. Yeah, it's just good feedback. Arcade, good. Happy man, yay. Our arcade team worked really hard this year on making sure that their layout presented the arcades in a way that was really accessible for people, and that drew the attention to the tournaments in the center. There was a lot of effort put in. So if you guys, I mean, they're closed now, but if you see an arcade staffer or someone's wearing like an arcade lanyard, just give them a high five and tell them they did an awesome job this year.
Eat the mic, essentially.
I think it's off.
Hey, Tech Ops.
Hey, so basically, I have only like one minor complaint. Like everything was pretty smooth, but it would help if I know why there isn't like public Wi-Fi here because it would be overloaded immediately. But it would be help if at least for like overseas visitors, you could supply like access to Wi-Fi, because just to illustrate what my experience here was coordinating with friends, it was either constantly leaving the vendor marketplace and arcade area to go to the lobby so I can have Wi-Fi to check my messages to see whether people are making plans, or following my friend who made a Wi-Fi hotspot for me all the time and hoping I keep the signal, because it's much harder for me to use a data plan because I'm not from like around here.
Attendee Wi-Fi is extremely difficult. There's 25,000 of you and not many people to set up network. And we get roughly a gigabit coming into the Gaylord, and that does not divide out nicely. We tried having attendee Wi-Fi in a very small area at the tables at the base of Chesapeake, so that you could use portables, and that would limit the number of users just by the small deployment. That's probably about as far as we're going to go, unfortunately. Yeah. It's not necessarily a monetary issue. We could probably afford the infrastructure to do it. It's difficult to deploy. We basically end up doubling the hotel's infrastructure for things like that. And it's just a lot of volunteer hours running all the WAPs, running all the cables, making sure the back ends are ready to go. 25,000 people is an extremely dense deployment, even in a building this size.
I just want to thank MAGFest for paying for the battle pods to come in, paying for them to just let everybody free play them without having to pay per visit. That's a lot of fun. The fact that apparently you signed a contract a couple of years ahead now is even better. Thank you so much.
Hi, great job. I had a great time all weekend. I actually had kind of a question about volunteering. I didn't volunteer this year. I was kind of thinking about it next year. When you talked about the tight load in, I was kind of thinking about it some more from next year. I do travel here by air. This year I was 12 hours late. I missed Thursday because a flight was canceled. This year that doesn't matter to anybody but me. If I'm signed up to volunteer, now that matters to somebody other than me. Would you welcome somebody who's traveling that way knowing there might be a risk?
Sure. Generally, volunteers can work directly with their department head to plan how they're getting on site and things like that. And we try to be as flexible as possible. Everyone here is, well, the vast majority of people working MAGFest are volunteers, so we understand that sometimes, it snows or it's difficult to get here.
Yeah, we have a volunteer crew of, I think, something around 1,200 people, and we pay 6 people full-time to run MAGFest. So I don't know where we're at anymore. Let's not talk about this right now.
Yeah.
Could you remind me how long we're locked into the Gaylord for? I don't have a problem with the Gaylord. It's just I can't remember the date that you said a couple years ago that we're in the Gaylord until 20-something.
Well, and whatever number I said 2 years ago would not be correct at this point. I can say that on New Year's Eve, so last week, I signed a contract extension, and MAGFest will be at the Gaylord National through 2025.
And so far, our plan going forward is basically to stay at the Gaylord forever. We're extremely happy with the venue. They seem to get along fine with us, put up with us. So our plan has been more to grow additional events rather than necessarily trying to make this one bigger. There's really just not a... I think we might have a few ads coming up.
So one of the big pushes we're doing with MAGFest is to do a bit of, one way of calling it is content as a service. We're trying to put MAGFest at universities. We've been talking with the Maryland Institute College of Art, University of Maryland, Baltimore County. If you have, and also putting MAGFest into conventions and adding Fest to their con. We're working with TCon. I think we have plans to work with BlurredCon, and working to get, we're inviting every convention that wants to be there to our MAGFest planning meeting, or MAGCon, so that we can coordinate and do more cool MAGFest stuff year-round. So if any of you are involved with running other, well, I should just say running cons. Anyways, look into MAGCon, get there, volunteer, and we're going to have a networking meeting there. So, yeah.
This last year, we had the second year of MAGWest, which is our California event, which is our attempt at spinning up another, basically something like this on the other coast. I also run MAGStock, which is a camping event, so Nerds in the Woods. Highly recommend it. We'll be launching very shortly.
Cool. I can rattle off departments, as many as I can think of, to help us think of any feedback people might have.
We're coming up on the hour. We are definitely not going until 6:30. We're busy. We decided to take an hour off so we could.
We're not too busy for your feedback, but we're not going to necessarily reach for it if you're done.
Yeah, if you're done,
And then you can always, reach out to us by social media, email. We will still listen to you. It's not like our ears turn off, once these microphones do.
Well, they do for the next 2 months, and then we're back on. We got to decompress.
I'm trying to save you here, Josiah. Come on, man.
If you go to the website, it's called super.magfest.org. There's a contact button. You hit that,
it goes straight to our support bee account. And it gets routed to a bunch of different places. Any staffing questions, any general questions, any registration questions, anything you need to know, hit up that contact form and somebody important will see it.
Would a lot of you consider publishing a work on explaining how all of you are all just so awesome?
No.
Well, actually, as someone who's been doing a lot of promotions, that's kind of my job. To be like, hey, we're awesome, work with us, and come to our awesome thing. So, eventually.
There's someone aggressively approaching the stage. Stare at him.
Uh-oh.
Da, 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 da,
Oh, hey,
da, da,
man.
da.
How are you?
Well, hello, everybody. So I just want to ask a question. So since MAGFest is, I wouldn't say clashes with the New Year's parties, like celebrations. So this is like not very important, but would booking a hotel room from December 31st to January 1st be covered with the MAGFest rates? And
As a completely honest answer, that will depend on whether the big night of Big Night DC books, because I'm not going to lie, that event is able to get they charge about $300 to $400 a night for their rooms, and so at this point we will try. We floated the idea of maybe doing like a MAGFest-ish type party that night, to try to bring to try to get in folks a day early. We'll see what we can get together.
okay, and another question. Would the surrounding hotels be also covered by MAGFest? Let's say the Residence Inn, which I really like, and in the West Inn, the AC hotels?
We have, since we mentioned the dates earlier, we do have those locked down. Experience now handles that for us. I did talk to them about getting availability for the 31st, but again, it's going to be a matter of what event is in the Gaylord the night of the 31st, because if it's the same event as like was last year and has been here for 7 years now, and they're used to getting like $300 to $400 a night, then they're going to be like, and we're still going to charge that, and that's a little outside of where MAGFest rates are. So I hate to give a non-committal answer, but it's really going to depend on that other event.
Okay, yep. And that's all my question. And thank you guys everything for just like hosting this.
Thank you so much for coming.
Everything's so awesome. All right, guys.
And if anybody is caring about football right now, the Chargers just beat the Ravens.
Damn it!
So I'm a New England Patriots fan. I now get the Chargers.
We're going to do one last call for feedback and questions. Make your line now, speaker now, or forever hold your peace.
So now that you said that you're going to stay here, do you have any plans to put an actual attendee cap on the...
There is one.
Yeah, we've been dancing around our cap for the last 3 years. For various reasons, we do have a cap. Among others, the fire marshal, but also we just wanted a certain amount of elbow room around our attendees. We could probably fit more people in here. I don't know that we will. We've been getting bigger through those years, and we've sort of soft capped each of those years. But we're getting pretty close to where we just have to call it, hopefully ahead of time. It's a lot easier for us to cap before the event than to cap on site. So we're sort of absorbing that extra buffer so that 1 year we can sell out before we get here, and that way we don't have to turn people away at the door, because that's painful for everyone.
At least my next question is that I know that you had to change your pricing, or I guess bracket models for how you charge your tickets based on a time frame from 2018 to 2019. I'm curious at how did that go, and do you plan to keep it or change it in the future?
I would say it went extremely well. So originally we did it time-based. We ended up 1 year after that, we tried doing just by the number of attendees. That turned out to not work out as well as we'd hoped. All the caps just blew by in minutes, which was very confusing when you'd be in the shopping cart with a price you thought was locked in and it sold out from under you. So this year we simplified it down to just here's a price and then it bumps up at the door. I think it was simple and everyone pretty much understood what they were getting. And I haven't really heard any issues with that. So we'll probably do that again or something very similar.
Hi, I was just wondering, with the board game area, they had the raffling off for the indie board games. Is that after the panel, or was that at the previous thing?
That was charity. If that was charity related, it was probably at the previous panel.
Okay, they told us to come to the feedback panel for that.
I have not been informed of that.
Okay. Well, thank you.
I will investigate with our charity head or our tabletop head, right now.
Hi, I was looking through the guidebook app, and I had noticed on several of the makerspace events where there were where you would be able to like pay for materials, and it was like an entire tutorial. It didn't manage to make it to one of those, but I was thinking those seem very good to go into Mag Labs. I feel like if you had like more of those, you'd get people more involved. You could also possibly merchandise something out of it.
Right.
Maybe do like a special swag where you actually have to build more of it yourself and
Right.
things like that.
We did try that at Labs.
I was there for that too because
Yep.
I have the one with the little screen, and
Yep.
it stopped working for some reason after
Yeah.
I put that little that thing from it's a little add-on chip for the Oculus Rift, I think, that Steam gave you guys to go with it.
Right.
But I haven't seen much documentation on the Swab's website for it. But
Right.
beyond that, yeah.
So we're sort of, Labs is a kind of a turning point right now where we're more or less trying to go the other way. So we're trying to turn Labs into something we can seed into other events. Because what we've more or less discovered is that when you come up with a really neat idea, like a swag or having these panels where you're making something physically, doing that and then building an event on top of it is a lot of just overhead for everything, basically. So it's easier to build on the base of something else, like take Labs to MAGFest. It's a panel room, it's a makerspace, and we can do all kinds of really neat things without also having to build a second event to support it. So we're hoping to make Labs something that we can inject into all of our other events, doing crafts, doing making without having to necessarily make it a separate thing.
Yeah.
It's still very much in flux. We have the research team looking at venues, looking at ideas, so we'll see what comes.
Awesome.
Yeah. What I was talking about putting MAGFest in other events, we're probably going to brand it Mag Labs and put Mag Labs like at a university or Mag Labs at things. But we're still figuring out the details and getting all the departments on board at the same time. So, because Mages, the educational stuff, and Jam Clinic and Makerspace are all looking for places to be because they outgrew Fest and or Labs. So, and then we're just parting out MAGFest and putting it in more places.
Thank you.
Hello, I just want to say this is one of the best experiences I have ever had. I came to MAGFest for the first time last year, and it just is so wonderful to meet a lot of people that share the same types of things that I enjoy. One thing, my friends joined me for the first time this year, and as first-time attenders, I kind of felt like I needed to guide them around, but I wasn't really able to do that all the time. And when they first arrived here, I wasn't available to help them out. So I thought it would be really useful if in the guidebook, right under general info, there was another thing that said first-time attenders with some tips and tricks from experienced MAGFest goers. It would have been useful for me last year. Just one place you can click and, hey, these are some tips about getting around MAGFest. So, thank you.
That's an excellent idea.
Yeah,
I run into the exact same thing all the time, bringing my friends on to staff, because I'm already booked through the entire event, so I'm not going to hang out with them at all. So I pull them into MAGFest, I say, come on guys, let's go, and then I'll see you on Sunday.
If you'd like to volunteer and help make that happen, we'd love to have you. It can be done outside of the event too.
Not sure how much control there is over this, but I know that there is a lot of, like, when badges were announced, it was only less than 2 weeks between the announcement and when they went on sale. So if possible, a little more lead time between the announcement and going on sale. I did appreciate having the long lead in time between the badges going on sale and then hotels going on sale. But more space between announcing when badges will go on sale and then badges going on sale would be nice, more than just like 2 weeks.
Yeah. At least one of the things that delayed or that made that into a smaller window was we were waiting for software to be in order. Last year, obviously, we had some issues with our reg system. This year, I think things went extremely smoothly. Hopefully, now that we've fixed a lot of the bugs in software, made it perform much better, we don't have to wait for that again. So hopefully that'll be easier to fix next year.
Just another comment about, you talk about the Mag Labs event, typically in September from what I understand over at Alexandria. And you're talking about getting involved with university or something. University of Maryland, College Park, they're completing, if you heard of the new Aribe Center, the virtual reality building that they're building over there, like 9 floors. And also they're having the fall, around the time they have the Mag Labs, the Next Now event, the performing arts event over at the Smith Performing Arts Center, and they've had in the past video game music there. So it might be interesting, to consider UMCP College Park for Mag Lab events in the future.
Yeah, that would be excellent.
So the funny thing about the Smithsonian is that's us. We do the video gaming events at the Smithsonian. I don't know if we do all of them, but we do a pretty significant one in the summer.
Oh, he was referring to the Gamers Symphony Orchestra at the Clarence Smith Performing Arts Center.
Oh, the GSO. Okay,
The
I heard.
GSO.
Okay, I heard Smithsonian
But,
and
you know,
video games.
Plugging the Smithsonian, I'm always down for that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We have great tracks, we have great panels and everything else going on. We do have one thing missing that I've seen at other conventions, not so much cosplay, but also technical and others, is that bird of a feather type sessions. When you say, we don't want to have a big panel or anything, but on Tuesday at so on, everyone who's an artist, if you want to come together in this room, we're going to just get together and meet each other. People who run those usually have them very little staff. If you tell someone, well, make a panel, they get scared. But if you just make an announcement, everyone who's a Unity programmer come here. Anyone who's interested in an old Atari 2600, come here, and have those all through the weekend. That would be kind of nice, because one of the nicest things about here is to meet other people with your similar interests.
Mm-hmm.
And with 20,000 people, that's a little hard.
Yeah, well, thank you. We'll pass that along.
What I wanted to say like that is like the way meetups like that happen is people submit to panels, for example, and say, hey, I want to do this thing. You apply to do a panel or a meetup, that kind of thing. So last year I threw together a Trans at MAGFest meetup, and it was really great and everyone there enjoyed it, and I didn't have time to get around to it this year. So if anyone wants to do that next year, full support, and there will be attendance.
All right. On that note, I think we already did the last call like 20 minutes ago, so we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been MAGFest 2019. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next year.
Thank you very much.